John Bolton left the Trump administration 5 years ago. So he's had nothing to do with Donald Trump, with the White House, with the US administration for over 5 years now. But in that time, he wrote a book. And he wrote a book in which he was absolutely scathing about Donald Trump and his approach to governance. Basically described him as a very unintelligent person who was completely out of his depth. And he was not at all shy about saying this openly and publicly in pretty much every forum there was. Trump, of course, didn't like this. And this is what Trump thought about him. He said it openly.
How do you remove John Bolton's security clearance, sir?
Because I think there was enough time. It's we take a job. You take a job. You want to do a job. We're not going to have security on people for the rest of their lives. Why should we? I thought he was a very dumb person, but I used him well. And John Bolton was one of those guys, a stupid guy. But no, you can't have that for life. You shouldn't expect it for life.
Now, at 7 o'clock this morning, the FBI sealed off the street on which John Bolton lives. They shut it down to all traffic. And then a bunch of SUVs pulled up outside his house with FBI agents raiding his property in the first thing, the early hours of the morning. That was visible for everybody to see. And he's basically been sort of trapped by the FBI raiding his house in this way, in full view of the world's media and for the whole world to see. None of that was, of course, necessary because he is not a gangster. John Bolton, for all his other flaws and faults, is not some kind of a major criminal. He is not a flight risk of any kind. In any kind of case involving somebody like this, who doesn't have any criminal past, all you need to do is have a conversation with the FBI between them and that person's lawyers about how we'd like him to come and visit our headquarters and we can have a conversation. And then they would, arrange an appointment for him to appear the next day. That's how it would normally be done. The only purpose for doing it this way, treating him as if he's a major wanted criminal, blocking off the whole street, raiding him with a whole bunch of cars and agents first thing in the morning, that is only done in order to humiliate and embarrass him. And now he's been deliberately entangled in a whole legal process that is going to consume basically all his hours of every day going forward. And that was the intention. This is purely and simply an act of intimidation of an enemy. Trump has been clear that he wants to go after people who he doesn't like and who don't like him. And he's doing this in as public a possible way in order to create that climate of intimidation and fear for anybody who dares to speak out against him. Now, this is apparently about classified documents that he might have kept. But, Trump himself was accused of taking classified documents. But what we know about Bolton is that, in the book that he wrote, he actually based it on notes that he made while he was, had a government office. And he's the kind of person, like a lot of people in government offices do, they keep a regular diary. And he almost certainly used that diary as his source, rather than classified information which he took out. I predict, therefore, they're not going to find anything here, but they can drag him through the courts and make this an impossibly and intolerable process for him. And that is clearly the purpose of this, to intimidate, to scare, and not just to intimidate and scare him, but to intimidate and scare anybody else who dares to cross Trump's path. And he's not the only one on the list of people being targeted. They're also currently apparently going after somebody on the Federal Reserve Board because they don't like what the Federal Reserve Board is doing right now. They're not reducing interest rates in the way that Trump is calling for. So he's been doing things like calling for the resignation of Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, but also they're taking individual action, criminal action against members of the Federal Reserve Board. They are weaponizing the legal system as a means of revenge. And the implications of this are clear and chilling, and they're well articulated by our colleagues on the Bulwark.
This is a corrupt act by a gangster. I say again, a gangster government. They clearly wanted to get him because he's a critic of President Trump, because he's been saying on every forum that will have him recently that he's being played by Putin, which is obvious. And so for Trump to do this, it is just an obvious attempt to use the power of the state in a completely corrupt and unjustifiable fashion. It is a message to the rest of us that this is what we're doing now. We're going criminally after our critics. And it is deeply frightening. This is becoming the kind of country that you have to flee from if you're a critic of the government.
I think we need to be clear here that this is not the culmination of an investigation against an individual. This is the first in a series of attacks that Trump has been very open about wanting to make. The thing about authoritarian rulers is that they tell you very openly what they're going to do. And Trump did do that even before he came back into office. It was very clear that he was going to go after his enemies and exact revenge, use his powers to exact revenge. That's clearly what he's doing now. This is the first of a series that they have in the pipeline. And they're looking now to make good on the promises to themselves that they made. This is the real reason they are in office. This is the real motivation they have for seeking power. It's all a revenge match. I hope you like my video. We have a wonderful community of folks here who are subscribers to this channel, so I hope you consider subscribing to the channel too. We're here to support each other in this time of global trauma, and people are passing comments to each other, sharing their experiences and affirming and supporting one another through the comments section of this channel. So I'm really proud of and inspired by the community that we're creating, and I hope you can join us on that basis. Also, I have a mailing list. The link is in the description of the video and the channel. If you can join that, then we can stay in touch by email on an ongoing basis, because let's face it, all these channels are basically owned by a small number of oligarchs, and at any point they could decide that they want to shut a channel like mine down. And if that's the case, then, well, we'll lose touch. So if you can subscribe to my newsletter, then we can stay in touch, and you can stay in touch with my content on an ongoing basis. Finally, I also have the ability to become a member of the channel. It'd be great if you can join us to be a member of the channel. You get regular free ebooks on an ongoing basis. Every month I produce a new ebook, me and my team, that help us understand the psychology of the people in the world around us, but most importantly, help us understand our own psychology too, to help us to navigate this difficult and traumatic period we're going through right now. And in addition, whether you'd become a member of the channel or not, you're also welcome to visit that little bookstore and buy any of the books anytime. And it's called russellsbooks.com. That's at russellsbooks.com. And yeah, you can go to that website and buy and download any of the books anytime. But as I say, if you become a member of the channel, you'll get that for free as well. I really hope that we can stay connected. As a psychiatrist and somebody who is also fascinated by politics, I love to make these videos. I hope to continue to do so. I hope to stay connected and continue this ongoing conversation with the audience, so that ultimately we can create a better tomorrow together. Thank you.